Hello, Keith Rucker here, VintageMachinery.org. Well guys, we got a bunch of stuff stacked up on the bench here, a lot of viewer mail that's come in again over the last couple of weeks, and I want to get worked through this and show you some new tools that have come into the shop. Mostly viewer mail. I think I got one or two little small purchases in here that I'll throw in as well just to kind of show you. But anyway, some cool, unusual tools, some neat items. I think you will enjoy it. Hang with us and we'll show you the viewer mail this week. All right, guys, first item here. This is kind of an unusual thing that showed up in the mail. And when it first showed up, I'm like, what in the world? Somebody sent this to me for. But then I saw who it was from, and there wasn't a note or anything in there. But a gentleman by the name of Tom Kitchens, who lives down in Jacksonville, Florida, not too terribly far from me. And we've had a lot of conversation back and forth. Tom is a retired Navy molder. He worked in a foundry unit in the Navy for 20 years, basically doing all kinds of foundry work. And he specialized in doing molding. And he's really kind of been giving me a lot of coaching, a lot of help on my foundry work, which I need to get back on and do some more foundry stuff. But anyway, long story there. But Tom has actually started a YouTube channel. It goes under Sandrammer. On YouTube. That's the name of his channel, is Sandrammer. And he's been doing a lot of instruction on doing molding work, basically using his Navy experience. And to a large extent, he's basically gone through the information that would be presented in the old Navy molder school. And it's pretty interesting stuff. Very detailed, a lot of information in there. But if you're interested in getting some really good information on doing molding work for foundry work, I would really encourage you to go over there and watch his channel. But he kind of went through the molding school training. One of the things that the molders actually did in the Navy was they would make these what they called wire rope sockets. And the reason they did is because you actually pour zinc down in these ends to fill it in. And there's a whole process here where they take the cable, they take it apart, they have to wrap it down here to keep it from unfurling, then they fray all the individual sprockets or individual wire strands out up into this socket, which is kind of funnel shaped, and then they pour zinc in here, and the zinc basically galvanizes to the steel, it binds to it, and all those fibers in there basically in this funnel, it connects this socket to the end. And they made lots of these, I think, in the Navy for doing all kinds of heavy rigging work. And he wanted to demonstrate that, so he has a series of videos going very much in depth on how to do this. And a lot of the science behind it, it's really quite interesting. I've been watching some of those videos kind of, because whenever I got this from him, I went over to his channel, and sure enough, he went through how he made this. And anyway, it's very interesting. He decided he had no use for it, so he said, I'm going to send it to Keith, thinking that I might be able to use it in my shop for doing some lifting work. Now, I think in his video, he told me this is a 3/4 inch wire rope. I think he told me that this particular wire rope socket is rated to lift something like 50,000 pounds. I'm never going to lift that much in here. Don't think I will anyway. I don't have anything to lift that much with. My Monarch lathe, it weighs about 11,000 pounds. We did move that in here, but not with, we didn't do any lifting on it. Probably 6,000 pounds is probably the most I would ever lift. But if I ever need a little extension, a little socket here, of course you can put clevises on here to connect it to whatever. Anyway, this was interesting. Like I said, this was a project for Tom, and he thought he'd send it to me, and I probably very well use it at some point in time. In fact, we do some lifting occasionally out at the museum, and this right here may actually end up just going out there, because anything that I would lift that would be heavy enough to use this, we've got stuff out there to lift with. So anyway, very interesting. I encourage you to go check out his YouTube channel if you're interested in foundry work, and again, want some, they're not quick videos. He goes into a lot of detail. It's like going to school. And if that's what you're looking for, he's a very good teacher, and he really goes through a lot of information on a lot of stuff. And I promise you'll learn from him. So Tom Kitchens, Sandrammer on YouTube. And Tom, thank you very much. Very interesting, and I enjoyed your video series on making this as well. Thanks. All right, so next we got a whole box full of goodies here, and I'm going to go through this. This comes from Adam Alderman, and Adam lives up in North Alabama. He's a physician up there. He actually came down and took my scraping class last time we had it. And when he was here, he said, hey, I'm going to send you some of a particular thing. But anyway, he sent along a whole box of goodies here. So anyway, I'm going to go through this and kind of show you. So first off, he sent me a bunch of syringes here. Guys, these things are super, super handy in the shop. I actually have a bunch of these. We use them at work for measuring, doing precision measurements because they're marked in milliliters or cc's on there, and measuring out liquids and chemicals and stuff like that. But I use these things in the shop all the time when I need to measure stuff or just siphon stuff along. So anyway, that's appreciated for sure. Just some random stuff here. So here's some Molly Coat. And this is basically a, let's see, I was reading about it. It's a molybdenum lubricant, basically. This is a Dow coring product. And basically, it's just a lubricant or protectant. Brand new tube of that. So next, we have a little Mitutoyo box. And he put a note on here that this is a, what do you call it? A depth gauge extension base. So I guess you would use this with a Mitutoyo depth gauge, and you can put this onto there and it extends the base out. So if you needed to do a depth over a bigger hole. So I don't know that I've got a Mitutoyo depth micrometer or depth gauge, but that's interesting. So it looks like you got a series of holes here, and you would screw it into the side of that, and it would give you a wider base, and you can, you know, right there's in the center, but you could go one side or the other to kind of make it offside. So anyway, that's a kind of an interesting piece. Now I'm going to probably have to find me a Mitutoyo depth gauge to use it with. I know Adam is really into precision metrology, and I'm sure that's something that he picked up and had an extra of. Roll of non-skid tape, so like you put on stairs or whatever, to just a non-skid surface. So anyway, that's kind of neat. Sent along a couple of pairs of these gloves. Man, I've got some of these. Well, not exactly like these. I got some of very similar, but these are really awesome in the shop, and I wear these all the time when I'm working on stuff. So I'll put this in my box full of gloves back there, and have a few extras because I'm starting to get a little bit low in that department. So, you know, when you're working on cleaning up something or whatever, these things are great. These are non-skid. They protect your hands. And anyway, I like wearing these, so cool. Here's a little thing of petroleum-based flux for like silver soldering, I believe. Can't ever have too much of that kind of stuff laying around. When Adam was at the class, he brought along a bunch of this slotted shim stock. This stuff's kind of neat. So this is all shim material. It has slots in it. That's 10 thousandths thick. I see this is a 1,000th thick, 1,000th and 4,000th. So, you know, we use these things a lot during the scraping class, and I think he got a whole pile of this stuff somewhere or another. But anyway, he sent along a couple of stainless slotted shims, and I know those are going to come in handy for something somewhere down the line. Cotton applicator tips, or cotton tipped applicator, so basically like a long Q-tip. Again, you know, when you're in the shop, need to swab some grease or something in a place, you know, these things are great. Send along a little box of miscellaneous oilers and oil cups. These are all Gits, brand new stuff. I use that kind of stuff all the time. In fact, I got a little drawer over here that's got a bunch of this kind of just random stuff in it. So I'll put those in there. So this is really what he was sending me. And when we were at the scraping class, he had a couple of these little gooseneck lights. It has an LED in here. It just plugs into a power source. It comes with a little, basically just weight. That's not a magnet. But what he did was he mounted these like on a little mag base, kind of like an old indicator mag base. He mounted one on that and basically was able to carry it around and put it somewhere and get some work light. So I was really digging these. These are awesome because you can just mag them onto your machine or whatever. These things give out great light. and just a very directional light that you can put on there. So he said he was going to get a couple of these and send them to me, and he sent me, here's one in the box and here's another one. So I got to come up with some mags to put these on, but these are really cool, and I'm excited to get them. These are going to be nice to have around the shop. So I think he told me that you can get these at IKEA, which I'm not a big fan of IKEA. I'll be honest with you. I don't really like throwaway furniture, but I guess stuff like this, you know, it's pretty nice. But anyway, very handy. Like I said, I got to come up with some mag bases for it, but we'll get these put on together and have some good work light out here in the shop. So Adam, thanks a lot for sending along the goodies. Lots of cool stuff in there. So here I put one of these lights together, just put it on the base that came with it. This, like I said, is just a regular base that you can just put on a table or whatever, but you kind of get an idea. It's a little directional light. You know, it's not super bright, but you can see it really lights up what you're working on. These were great when we were doing our scraping class because we really needed to get light into a area when we were working on it, and you could just get this thing and move it around however you needed to really get your light in there. So anyway, very much appreciated. These are going to be handy in the shop. So next item here was a viewer gift that came in from actually Jim Connor, and he actually purchased this and had it shipped to me. He saw that I was restoring the Kurt Weiss, and he had, I think, seen this on Adam Booth's channel where he had gotten one of these Edge Technology speed handles. This clamps onto the hex on the Kurt Weisses, and you know, it's just a little small handle. It doesn't have a lot of torque on it, but for most things you do in the mill, these things are great. But anyway, Adam had shown one on his channel. I think he had gotten one, and anyway, he thought I needed one, so he ordered one and had it shipped to me. So I'm really excited about this. In fact, let's open it up. So if you look at this, you know, it's basically a one piece, I guess that's die cast maybe. And you you can put the handle in two different places depending on how much torque you want to get. You got a little set screw on it. Anyway, nice little item made by Edge Technologies. And if you haven't, you know, go check out their website. They've got a bunch of really cool items, and I know they were a really nice sponsor out at the Barzy Bash. They donated all kinds of stuff that were given away in door prizes and what have you, and they make really nice stuff. You know, they're not a sponsor of my channel or anything like that. They haven't sent me anything, you know, personally, but they make good stuff. I'm very been impressed with it, and actually, as I was going through their catalog, there were several other things in there that I might just order because they're pretty cool. But anyway, very nice little item. Thank you, Jim, for sending that along, and go check out Edge Technologies. So next, got a couple of decals here from Stan Zinkowski out at Barzy Industrial. And Stan, of course, hosts the Barzy Summer Bash that we just got back from. I've been out there 3 different times. And somehow or another, I went out there this year and I didn't come back with one of his decals. And he saw I didn't have one on the board, so he was kind enough to throw a couple in the mail to me to put up on my decal board. So thank you, Stan, for sending those along. Again, go check out Stan's YouTube channel if you haven't already, Shading HKW. Stan's got some really good content up there, particularly on some surface grinding. I've learned a lot from him on using my surface grinder just from watching Stan's channel. And he's got other stuff up there too, but to me, I kind of know him as the surface grinding guru. But anyway, go check out Stan Zinkowski, Barzy Industrial. And Stan, thank you again for hosting the bash. Always enjoy going out there. And Stan, if you don't know Stan personally, he's just a top-notch guy, just a super nice guy. Really does a lot for our community here on YouTube. And like I said, if you haven't already, Shading HKW is his YouTube channel. Go check it out and subscribe. So up next comes a box of goodies. This comes from Logan Johnson up in Cedar Springs, Iowa, or Michigan, excuse me. And basically, this is just a bunch of little plastic little pieces. I suspect these may have been cut off from a job, from drops or whatever, but you know, this is the kind of material, like I told him, you just, you never know when you need it, and it's nice to have it. In fact, I had a viewer sent me some little plastic drops probably a year ago, and the other day I went over there, I was making a little jig for something, and I dug in there and pulled it out and used a piece of it. It was just a real quick and dirty thing, but like I said, you never know when you need this kind of stuff. So anyway, he asked if I could use them. I said, absolutely, send them along. So anyway, thanks a lot. I do appreciate it. We'll put it out there on the inventory rack, and like I said, you never know when you might need a piece of something like that to make something with. So up next, a little item came in from Jim Johnson up in Oregon, and this is kind of interesting. This is a 3/4 inch, what they call a car reamer, standard flute, 3 flat shank, and basically what it is a little tapered reamer. And I don't know that I would consider this for precision reaming a hole. It's more probably a tool like a fabricator would use if they just need to wallow out a hole, make it bigger for whatever. But anyway, I can see where in a lot of what I do, again, not necessarily precision machine shop work, but in some fabricating or just putting things together, there's been a lot of times, I've got a hole, I just need to make it a little bit bigger. So something like this would definitely be a handy little thing to have. So anyway, thanks a lot. He said he had bought this for a job and ended up not using it, ended up doing it a different way, and I didn't really have a need for it, so sent it along to me. So anyway, thanks a lot, Jim. I appreciate it very much. So next, this is kind of cool. This actually is a lot that came from the Netherlands, and I'm going to butcher this name, or Verkonelen Sam. Yeah. I know that's not right, but anyway, he contacted me, asked me, said, hey, could you use some metric micrometers? I have said before, everything that I have in my shop that I measure with, it's pretty much empirical. It's in inches. That's what I work with. I don't want to get into the metric versus empirical debate. For me, empirical is what I've always used my entire life, and I'm fluent in it. It's like speaking my language, whereas metric to me, and I know a lot of people have a hard time with this, but for me, it's like a foreign language. I understand it. I actually work in the metric system in my job as a scientist, but my mind does not automatically convert stuff. When you say something so many millimeters, I have to convert it to inches to be able to get an idea of what it is. I know what an inch is. I know what a foot is. I know what a yard is, a mile, etc. But anyway, enough on that. Bottom line, though, sometimes I need to be able to do jobs in metric. Again, I understand the system. I can work in the system. It's just I'm not fluent in the system. But sometimes you get a job and something's in metric. And the way I've always had to do it is I've had to convert those units over to inches, basically, and then basically work in what I have measuring tools for. So anyway, this is a nice set of micrometers. So there's a 25 to 50 millimeter. That's a 50 to 75 millimeter. They're all used, but they all look like they're in good shape or good usable shape. Let's see, this one here is, what is that, 100 to 125, I think is what that one is. And then that one's 125 to 150. So I don't have all the slots in there up to that size. I don't have a 0 to 25, and I think I'm missing a 75 to 100. But that gives me a nice little range to work in. And again, these probably won't get used a lot, but when I need to do something in metric, I at least now have a basic set of micrometers that I can measure with. Now, this is a pretty cool little piece here too. And somebody had sent one of these to Adam Booth, and I really was kind of digging it. So this tool here, it is a micrometer, but this is actually not so much for just measuring something. This is more for inspection work. So if you're in a quality control, whatever, you basically would set this thing to a certain measurement, probably using some gauge blocks or something like that, a standard that you would measure with. And you've got a little scale down here in the bottom. And these two lines, this is basically your tolerances. So you can put that, plus or minus whatever your tolerances are. 0 would basically be perfectly on size. You're not necessarily measuring with this. You're just looking to see if it's in tolerance. And you would come in here and you drop your part in, and you push this button here. You see that little anvil back there drops out, and this dial down here also moves out. And then you let it come back in. and when you do, you would look to see what's in that range. And I'd have to get here and play with it, but you can actually adjust these limits on there for whatever tolerance. So that looks like that's plus or minus 5, was that micrometers? Anyway, this is basically an inspection tool. I don't know that I'll ever need it, but it definitely is a conversation piece and definitely is a really cool item to have. And anyway, like I said, I saw some of these on some other channels that were also metric, but they're pretty cool. So anyway, thanks a lot. Anyway, thank you very much. I've got me a good starter set of metric micrometers now. One of these days, maybe I'll do a job in metric. We'll see. But thanks a lot. I do appreciate that. Very, very nice set of tools and very much greatly appreciated. This is really awesome. Thanks. Up next, we got a box full of goodies here from Steve Detloff, who is out in New Mexico, and he contacted me specifically about some of these big taps that he had. I don't know if I was interested, and yes, absolutely. And some of these are, it's quite interesting actually. So some of these are just 60-degree taps, regular, I don't know if they're regular size or not. I see that's a 25, 30 seconds. I don't know if that's the drill size or if that's the actual size, but anyway, oddball size. Anyway, these are, got some pulley taps here. I guess that's probably a pulley tap. That's really odd the way that's tapered the way it is. I mean, but anyway, some oddball taps. This one here, that's another 60-degree. This one here is this is a Acme, which I really like to find Acme taps because I do Acme stuff every now and then. And this is a 3/4 6, and I believe it's left hand. Yes, it is. So anyway, that's something again you never know when you need. This one here is interesting to me because this is actually a square thread tap. I don't know that I've ever seen a square thread tap before. Of course, square threads are 90 degrees on there. This is probably old as the hills. I don't see any writing on here that tells what size it is or who made it or anything like that. But anyway, pretty cool stuff. So got some neat taps. Oh, there's another one. That's a 60-degree. What does that say? That's inch and something, inch and 1/32, I think it says. Oddball size. Here's some nice wrenches. So there's a inch and 7/8. He had some of these big wrenches. I don't have a lot of big size wrenches, and I really like this style right here. This was made by Fairmont. This was made by Williams. That's 1.5 inches. Again, 1 7/8. Some little smaller ones here. Armstrong, all three of these. There's 2 1/2. That's a 2-inch, little short-handled wrench. There's a nice snap-on box-end wrench, 1 1/8. That's really nice. And here's another Armstrong, 1 1/4 and 1 1/16. So, as I told him, I've got plenty of wrenches up to about 1 1/8, but once you get up above that, I don't really have a very good selection out here at the shop. And with some of the stuff I work on, you need big wrenches from time to time, and usually I have to reach for the crescent wrench or the adjustable wrench because I don't have the right size wrench. So these are very much appreciated. Let's see what else we got in here. So here's a little ratchet handle of some kind. That's a square shank in there. I'm not sure what this would have been for to drive, but I can sure see where that might be useful sometimes. Got some hex keys. I believe that one there was homemade. Looks like they heated it up, bended it over, and then they welded up where it stretched in there. You can see the weld. But anyway, that's kind of cool. And then there's a couple of other larger size hex keys. And again, that's something that are nice to have. He sent me horizontal mill cutter, but then there's also some brass drive screws. We were talking about drive screws the other day. I don't have any brass ones. All the ones I have are steel. And this is kind of cool too. This is a little, if I can get it open, there we go. SK Tools, it's a little angle drill. So you would put this in your drill and it would drill at a 90-degree angle. These were used a lot in the aircraft industry, and these drill bits actually screw in here. You can still get these drill bits, and there's actually some extra drill bits of different sizes in here. You know, sometimes you need to be able to get up into a tight place to drill, and with a little extension like this on your drill, you can just reach right up in there and get it. So that's pretty cool. That's something that I've actually had a need for before, and I've never had one of these. So actually, I think I bought a little El Cheapo one, but it like messed up on me the first time I used it. So this one would be really nice. Anyway, thanks a lot, Steve. I do appreciate it. Some nice goodies here. We'll put all this stuff up, and I'll have it when I need it. Thanks a lot. Next item here, this is actually a purchase. I was going on somewhere with my wife a couple of weeks ago, and she wanted to stop by a little antique mall on the way. And anyway, we were in there browsing around and found a booth that had this Armstrong C-Clamp. It's a little dirty, but you know, the threads are good. The handle's not bent. It doesn't look like it's been used and abused too much. And Armstrong's a really good brand, USA made. They wanted $10 for it. I was their man. So anyway, I bought that, brought that home with me. So a couple of weeks ago, I got an email from Rick Seaman over in Little Rock, Arkansas, that said he's involved with a machinery dealership over there, and they had a tracing attachment that came off of a lathe. Said it came off of a Monarch. This is a True Trace on here. Bridgeport Machines. It's a lathe tracing attachment. Anyway, he said he thought it was all there. I don't know what the story was, but basically they had it in their machinery dealership and just needed it gone. Nobody wanted it. He had seen where I was dealing with a tracer on my Monarch and said, "Hey, do you want this?" I said, "I don't know if it'll fit or work, but yeah, I'll take it because I really would like to get a tracer attachment going." I've actually got parts for a Monarch one that another fellow sent me. This one's a little bit different, but I guess I'm just gathering up parts, so you never know what might work. So anyway, neat little item. Maybe I can get this thing going. It'd be cool to have a tracing attachment on a lathe to use from time to time. So anyway, thanks a lot, Steve. It was kind of cool. He sent this to me, and I said, well, I got to figure out how I'm going to get it home. You know, make a trip to Little Rock or whatever. And about a week later, my buddy Miles McDonald was by the house. He said, "Guess what?" I said, "I guess what I got to do next week." I said, "What's that?" So I got to drive a big truck to Little Rock, Arkansas. I said, "Can you pick something up for me?" And he did. He brought it back. So thank you, Miles. I do appreciate you hauling that back for me. So one more little item here I want to show you. This is pretty cool. So you guys remember I mentioned I actually had some videos about the big oak tree in the front yard that got blown down in a storm a month or so ago, and we got all that cut up, carried a bunch of the wood out to the museum, firewood, what have you. Gentleman that lives here in town is a friend of mine. He's got a shop, does a lot of woodworking more than anything else, but a gentleman by the name of Carter Shope. He actually ended up getting a piece of the wood off of that tree, carried it into a shop, and made this little piece for me. I showed up at the museum about a week or so ago, and this was sitting on my toolbox out there. And I'm like, what's the story on this? But anyway, Carter Shope made this for me, and basically it's just a piece out of that wood, and he carved a little kind of a bowl out in here, and he's got Rucker shop, northern red oak on here, and anyway, just a little artistic piece, I guess you could say. You know, you could either, I'm probably going to put it on display like this. You could lay it down on a table or whatever and use it for like a bowl of some kind, like a candy dish or something like that. But I think I'm just going to put it on display out here in the shop because I think it's pretty cool. So Carter, thanks a lot. I know you watch the channel, and I appreciate this a lot. This is really awesome. A nice piece of artwork, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Well, my bench top is clean again, so I've worked through this set of goodies that came in for this odds and ends episode, and as always, thank you everybody that sent stuff in. Always greatly appreciated, and new stuff for the shop. Hey, gotta love that. It just still kills me that people just send stuff to me, but hey, I love tools. I love messing with this old equipment, and it's just awesome to be able to find a new home for this stuff. You know, if I can't use stuff, I'll find someone that can. We'll get it saved and put back into use. That's what it's all about to me. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you next time.